all of what I have said, nobody has heard, obviously. So I'm hoping we are. Yes, I've got the thumbs up. So welcome to everybody to this meeting of the Governance, Resources and Strategy Committee. And I have an opening announcement to make, and that is that we first of all confirm that we are live streaming. And then I want to welcome you to this hybrid meeting, and most people are coming to the meeting from their own homes. Only few have come into the chamber. And can I ask everyone to please mute their microphones at all times, unless invited to speak by me in the chair. And for those of you who are physically in the chamber this evening, can I please remind you that when speaking into the microphone, you need to wait until you see yourself on the screens so that the live feed can pick up your comments. If you speak before your image is projected, those listening on the live feed or via Zoom will not hear anything that you say. So this is particularly important in the case of a vote being required. So that's, I think, all I need to do by way of opening announcements. But I want to ask that if there are any interests that you need to declare at any stage, you can do so now or at any particular case stage during the meeting.
Sure, it's Councillor Savage here. I didn't get an opportunity to put in an apology for Councillor Mackle earlier. Is that okay?
Thank you very much indeed. Any other apologies? I don't think we've got any others. Okay. Okay, so we're able to go down to item 3, which is a presentation from the Northern Ireland Fire and Rescue Service about the new district structures which are designed to align with those of our local government authorities. So we're having a presentation now for a few minutes, and there'll be opportunity for anyone to ask questions of the one who's bringing the presentation. And that is Mr. Dermot Rooney. So I'm going to invite him now to make his presentation.
Thank you very much, Chair. Presume everyone can hear me? Yeah.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah, and I'll share my screen in a wee second. Just by way of introduction, my name's Dermot Rooney. I'm the Area Commander for Southern Area Command of Northern Ireland Fire and Rescue Service. I'm effectively in charge of all of our operations in County Down and County Armagh, all of County Down except for the bits of County Down that fall into Greater Belfast. So effectively from Portadown, Katy, Crossmaglen, right across to Bangor and down to Portaferry. That's the area that I cover. So I'm going to give you a presentation. I'm going to try and share my screen on our proposed district structure alignment. So hopefully you can see that on the screen. And
yes, indeed, thank you.
I try and run the Okay, so this presentation is really an overview as part of our external engagement around the district structure alignment that the organisation is proposing to do. And we have a public consultation underway that ends on the 28th of March. The purpose of this session is to inform our partners of the consultation proposal, to provide a platform for positive engagement, to identify any positive impact or potential impacts that people might find with it, both positive and negative, and to collate feedback and responses so that we can inform the final design, or the team at headquarters can inform the final design going forward of where we need to be. Wee bit of an overview as to where the organisation is at the minute and why this is happening. Last September, we had the appointment of a new Chief Fire and Rescue Officer, Peter O'Reilly. Peter O'Reilly has set a clear strategic direction for the organisation The executive leadership team, ELT, has been structurally changed and realigned. There's a new director of finance, new deputy chief fire officer, a new assistant chief fire officer, and we're currently out for recruitment at the minute for a director of people and culture. The chief has also realigned some of the functional roles and responsibilities within the organisation. There's also a large piece of work underway involving a comprehensive community risk review, which previously would have been known as an IRMP, or an integrated risk response, an integrated risk management plan. And that includes a review of the FTO system, which is the flexible duty system for officers, people like me, who respond along with fire appliances. So really what's happening is there's a review of the design of the current headquarters, our learning and development centre, and our service support centre functions, including alignment, reporting structures, and accountability between district and stations and headquarters. There's a realignment of the territorial area commander, people like me, to a more functional role, probably working out of headquarters. The main thing we're going to talk about tonight is the district commands, which we are intending to align from our current 14 district commands down to 11 to mirror and make ourselves co-terminus with the local government boundaries. That will mean a redesign of our territorial station commander roles from the current system of functional leads to station accountability, more of a role in terms of station accountability. So why would we change, and what outcomes are we looking for? First of all, I know we're a bit late coming to the table with this, but we want to realign ourselves with the local government boundaries to remove duplication and to have clear points of contact and reporting. We want to fully integrate NIFRs into community planning structures. At the minute, the community planning structures, I, as the area commander, sit on those, so I effectively sit on 3 of those for my area command. This would mean that you would have one single person from NIFRs sitting on each one of those. So you and an ABC council would have the community safety manager for Portadown district or ABC district, depending on what we call it. That would give us a local risk-based approach to service delivery, collaborative working, and enhancing our partnership working. Should lead to a more effective signposting of vulnerable groups and possibly open up the change in culture in the organisation to potentially widen the role of firefighters in the community. It'll improve station management. It'll leave clear lines of autonomy and accountability for each station to their own station commander, and it should, through all that, improve relationships both internally and externally. So the consultation, the proposals are that 13 district commands, I said at the start 14, so we do historically and officially have 14 district commands, but a while ago we absorbed Lisburn district into Eastern Area Command. So effectively we've been working with 13 district commands, and we're going to finally move to bringing them into line with the local government 11 councils. The current stations will be realigned into new districts. The district command remit will change, so the district commander will no longer have an allocation of a group of stations. The stations will be allocated to one station commander per group of stations, and that hasn't been decided yet. The new district commander or community safety manager will take on primary contact role for the nominated council. So each council will have a dedicated NIFRs community safety officer. A move from a functional role to all aspects of station management. So at the minute, our station commanders in the districts manage various roles. One of them does community safety, one of them does personnel and training, and the other does operations. This will mean that we'll move to a system where one local fire officer will manage all of those aspects supported by the district above him or her. In anticipation of a positive public response to consultation, work has already commenced in designing the following changes. The station location will identify a parent district irrespective of the station area footprint, and station groupings within your council boundaries will be detailed on the next slide. So that's a wee map that basically covers ABC Council and what stations currently will sit in it after the consultation. And you'll notice there's only one change in that currently Rathfriland Fire Station, whilst the station itself and the town itself sits in your council area, the administration for Rathfriland currently sits within Uri district, and it is our proposal that we would move that to being managed from Portadown district. So the next steps are that there'll be a final proposal presented to the board on proposed headquarter and functional structure and roles. this year, early this year. That hasn't happened yet. A continued design and planning for implementation, pending, of course, the outcome of the public consultation. We're doing an equality and rural impact assessment, process engagement, consultation feedback to inform the final proposals. Go through an approvals process up through internally in the organisation and through the Department of Health, our sponsoring body. And then there should be further engagement and consultation as appropriate. Then we'll move to appointing district commanders, i.e. the community risk manager. Currently we have no post holders in those posts substantively, so we'll be appointing 11 community risk managers. And then of course we will advise the councils of whoever the successful candidates are. It's likely that initially we would have people doing that temporary, but we'll certainly make the councils aware. That pretty much ends my presentation, and I'm obviously happy to take questions.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Rooney. The obvious question is, what do you see as the major advantage in having this alignment with the local councils?
I think the main advantage is going to be that the councils themselves will have a go-to person, a single nominated community risk manager for the fire and rescue service, something they don't have at the minute. So at the minute, the go-to person for 3 councils is myself as the area commander. Obviously, people have their local contacts with some local fire officers, but it's about streamlining and identifying a particular local fire officer that is the council's go-to person. And that should help us to work better, particularly in the community planning structures.
Thank you very much. Now, are there any members wishing to ask any question of the commander?
Just myself,
Councillor,
Chair.
Yes, Lavery, sorry.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Dermot, for that presentation, everything you and your colleagues in the Fire and Rescue Service do. Would have 2 quick questions. I know your different districts as they are, would work very much hand in hand and respond and mutually support each other. Will that sort of, continue under this model, or is it going to be more effective and things like that? And secondly, just what timeline do you have in mind with regards to the completion of this process once all your consultation activities have been carried out? Just those 2 quick questions, Chair. Thank you.
Okay.
You want to take those 2?
Yeah, I'll take those 2. So thanks very much, Councillor Lavery, for your kind remarks. Yes, I should say that this is going to have absolutely no impact in relation to the operational response that we provide. So the stations, no matter where they fall, will still provide operational response in their own station areas. This is only an administrative change in relation to how we manage the stations and how we manage our contact with the local councils. There'd be no change whatsoever. I can assure members of that in terms of where our stations respond to. In terms of timeline, I think the Chief is keen that as soon as we get out the other end of the consultation, so probably around the start of the new financial year, he is intending to write to the councils and advise them at least who is the temporary incumbent as the community risk manager. So pretty quickly, but there is some work still to do, quite a bit of work to do in the structures above this. So I think there'll be a further consultation then about what happens in relation to, for example, the job I do in terms of the area command supporting the districts. There's quite a bit of work to be done around that. And of course, there has to be quite a bit of work done in terms of internal consultation with staff and stakeholders, because there may be some changes required as to where people work, etc.
Thank you very much. Now, Councillor Hawkins.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Dermot, again for the presentation. It's very valuable for us all to understand how things are looking in a body such as yourselves. It's so vital to everybody's well-being. And I just want to, I suppose it's more a comment than a question. I think it gives a lot of confidence that you're doing all your impact assessments to make sure any changes won't adversely impact anybody. So look, it was just to say thank you for keeping us up to date and we have a better understanding of it. But also just wanted to say thank you for your work on a local level. I know recently you had a group down in North Lurgan with some of the young people down there, and that sort of work that you're doing with Drumgour Detached Youth and with the young people in North Lurgan is just invaluable. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you for that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hockin. Your comments are very welcome. Really appreciate that. We know we have a good profile in the community. Unfortunately, over the last couple of years, we haven't been able to do as much as we would like to do in terms of COVID, but obviously now things are opening up a wee bit. We certainly hope to engage a bit more with the community. We have been doing all of the vital work in terms of prevention during the last couple of years, but obviously some of the stuff in relation to reaching out and engaging with youths and young people we haven't been able to do it as well as we'd like to. But hopefully we're all moving to a position now where we can engage more fully in terms of the work we were historically doing.
Okay. I'm not getting any further requests to ask any questions or make comments. So I really just want to reiterate what has already been said, Mr. Rooney, and that is how much we respect the service that the fire service provides to the whole community. And we respect your professionalism very much so. And thank you very much for coming this evening to give us this presentation and to keep us up to date with developments and positive developments in the service. So thank you very, very much indeed for coming.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much for your comments.
So I think we can move on in our agenda then this evening to our next item, number 4. Beg your pardon. In the previous, Councillor O'Hanlon, I offer you sincere apology.
You're fine, Chair. I was just a wee bit late logging on, and I noted the presentation was started for the Northern Ireland Fire and Rescue Service. As a board member of that organisation, instead of interrupting the presentation, I quickly signed back out again and contacted Democratic Services. So just to keep myself right and just for the minutes to declare a non-pecuniary interest.
Well, thank you very much indeed for that declaration, and my apology again. I'm very unused with all this technology. I'm afraid you're going to have to give me license this evening. So thank you. So I think we now can move on to item 4, which is a report from the Head of Strategy and Performance, Martine McNulty. And Martine is coming on to give us her presentation.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. This item relates to service standards, and the decision required tonight from members is to approve these draft service standards contained within Appendix 1 of the report. By way of background, this was something that has been developed on the back of our medium-term recovery plan and through the performance improvement plan, and indeed the customer care action plan that Council has committed to developing a set of service standards across a range of services. And the report also contains proposed reporting arrangements in relation to those. And I suppose just a bit of detail in relation to the fact that service standards help us define what individuals or businesses or customers and service users can expect from Council. And in some cases, some of those are also internal customers from one department to the other. But by and large, you'll see that they relate to services that are provided to members of the public. So happy to take any questions, members, and the recommendation is to approve the draft service standards. Thank you.
And I have a couple of members wanting to speak. And the first is Alderman Moutry, please.
Thank you, Chairman. My question is, it always surprises me that these things come as something new. I would have thought an organisation like this would have had service standards all along. I know in the old council they did, and probably they do have, but it's presented as if it's something new. And when do we have the results? When do we see the outcomes of these standards?
Want to take it, Martina?
Yes. Go on ahead. Okay. Thank you, Alderman, for the question. Yes, you're absolutely right. A number of service areas across the legacy councils did have service standards, and I suppose what this is doing is taking an opportunity to review those, to pull them together, and to look at where there are new services, I suppose, being delivered across council as well. And it's by no means that these are the set of service standards and that they won't change. They will be reviewed annually and they can be added to at any stage. And certainly whenever departments are undertaking things like service reviews, that's an opportunity for them to look at it. And you mentioned in relation to how we know how we're performing in relation to it, there will be quarterly monitoring, and the results of those will be shared internally, but then annually and within our annual performance report, we will include how we're performing in relation to these service standards. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Martina, for that. That's fine. On the basis of that, I'm happy to propose. But can I emphasise one of the standards there is the time scale for paying local businesses, and it says 30 days that 90% should be paid within it. That's very important and growing more important all the time as we face into the current climate. But happy to propose on that basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. And I have Councillor O'Hanlon.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Martina, for the presentation. And just in relation to the service standards, no surprise to us that the area where we seem to fall short is in environmental services, in particular the neighbourhood services sections. One of which, in terms of street cleansing, it says 50% of sweeper routes are completed within 10 days, working days of their scheduled. So I presume by that we're saying that we're not hitting our targets for street cleaning on at least 50% of occasions. And going by the issues that's raised at council on a regular basis, I don't think this will be of any surprise. But also I do note that the household bin collection, it says 99% of all bins were collected on a scheduled day. Again, for those of us who suffered the use of Bryson, that to me wouldn't reflect it. And even as I sit this evening, the brown bins in this area weren't empty today in the Tasa area. So, and likewise, for example, the Clay Road in Katy last week. So I know we're doing the review of that service department, but I think we need to be honest with ourselves as to where we are missing targets. And whenever you see it down here in black and white, that in terms of street sweeping, we're missing 50% of the targets. 50% of cart routes are equally the same, and that's the manual service. So I suppose it may be picking up on Alderman Moutry's point. There's no point in having these unless there's service improvement plans. We set the standards. Where we fall below standard, we need to see an action plan in relation to it. And I understand, Martina, that your role is that you're the intermediary, as it were, between these. So I suppose you're out to take the flak, as it were. But I would ask them that there needs to be a follow through on this then in terms of an improvement plan in areas where we aren't hitting an acceptable standard, and to me an acceptable standard is 100%. So I would be keen that we see an improvement plan in these areas. Thank you.
Well, your comments are well made, Councillor O'Hanlon, and thank you very much. And I have also Councillor Savage, Kevin Savage.
Thank you, Chair. It's just following on from Councillor O'Hanlon's remarks. We can see a lot of the service standards are around 99% and things like that. So it's just from my point of view, for a bit of clarity, and I'm not expecting an answer tonight. If somebody from Environmental Services could come back to me and explain the rationale for the 50% target, I would be very grateful, Chair, if that could be brought forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, Sharon O'Gorman wishes to make comment.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members. Members, just to say that I note the comments that have been made in relation to environmental services and the service standards, and I will be picking up on those points in terms of an action plan on how we can move forward to improve, and that will be something that will be taken forward within the department, and I will also come back on Councillor Savage's comments as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And anyone else wishing to make comment? I'm very conscious that, Sharon? Yeah, I'm very conscious that we have a proposal from Alderman Moutray that we accept this draft.
Sure, I'm happy to second the report. It's, you know, in terms of its accuracy, but just as the director has noted, the comments I've made in relation to service improvements.
Okay, I was just going to ask for a seconder, so thank you very much indeed. Are we agreed? And remember the comments that have been made. Okay, the 4.2 then, the Safeguarding Board for Northern Ireland. Is that Martina or Gary?
Gary Scott, Chair.
Gary Scott is bringing that report.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, Gary Scott is Safeguarding Coordinator for Council. Elected members have been asked to consider the proposal, which is a consultation response to the Safeguarding Board for Northern Ireland. Consultation itself on their proposed strategy for 2022 to 2026 on equality and human rights screening. As you all know, the Safeguarding Board was established through legislation in 2012 to proactively support the rights of children and to be safeguarded and protected. And Armagh City, Banbridge and Craigavon Borough Council are statutory members of the Safeguarding Board, represented through Lisburn and Castlereagh City Council via Solus. So this is the third SBNI strategic plan and sets out the direction and priorities for the SBNI over the next 4 years. That's 2022 to 2026. The key strategic priorities that they want to look at are online safety, domestic violence and abuse, and children and young people's mental health. It is proposed that Council support all of those proposals contained within that strategic plan, 2022 and 2026, and the equality and human rights screening with 2 specific amendments. The first proposed amendment is that Council recommends that at question 4 on the response, that's page 6 of the consultation response, the word respect be added into the text for the Safeguarding Board vision. And it's important that the reason for that is it's important that the Safeguarding Board vision reflects that they value children and young people, and that engagement has meaning, that engagement with the young people has meaning, and that all in society, that's both individuals, organisations, parents, carers, professionals, and anybody that engages with children should respect them. So that the second proposal, the proposed amendment then, is that Council recommends at question 14, which is crossover between pages 9 and 10 on the consultation response of the proposed plan, is that the Safeguarding Board should, within the strategic priority at 2, should include the education of children in raising awareness of the impact of domestic abuse and violence on children. It is recognised that domestic abuse starts at a young age, and the impact can be significant for children through their lifespan. So it would be important as part of that focus is also on the education for children in the context of domestic abuse, promoting healthy relationships and understanding the impact of domestic abuse. So it should be included as part of that strategic priority, particularly at 2.2, to work with 2.2 says to work with member and partner agencies engaged in the domestic violence arena to raise awareness around parents and carers and professionals and children of the impact of domestic abuse on children and young people. And that's basically the simple 2 amendments to that. So I'm happy to take questions now, and the recommendation is that we approve the proposed response. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Are there any members wishing to make comment or ask a question? Well, if not, we're asked to receive this report, and I need a proposer and a seconder to so do. Thank you. Councillor Savage proposing. Is there a Alderman Moutry? Thank you very much indeed. To second. Thank you. And all agreed?
Thank you very much, Chair.
Alderman Moutry, do you wish to make comment?
You're already off mute, Stephen. Stephen, you're back on the mute now.
Thank you. That is now.
That's it, yes.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Just a very brief comment. I take it the safeguarding role has no role, the safeguarding board has no role in relation to the unborn child, because the unborn child seems to be in Northern Ireland the only aspect of children that doesn't have the protections that the ordinary children have. Maybe the officer can indicate that to me.
Yeah, no, the safeguarding board role would involve the unborn children as well as part of that wider remit in the context of their welfare and well-being.
Okay, okay, lovely, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Moutry. And I don't see anyone else wishing to make comments, so we'll move to 4.3, which is the consultation documents from external organizations, and there's quite a list of them. And I think unless anyone has an individual question, we're going to take them en bloc. Martina, you want to say something?
Yes, Chair, just to indicate that in relation to the fire service consultation, there will be a letter of support issued by way of a consultation response.
Okay. Thank you.
Just one point in relation to this, that under the fire service presentation tonight, the consultation response, there will be a letter of support issued in relation to this consultation, which isn't noted within the report. Thank you, Chair.
Very much indeed. And of course, the areas covered there are health and education and human rights and justice and communities, finance, agriculture, environment, and safeguarding. Quite a number of statements that are before us this evening. Okay. Councillor O'Hanlon, my apology again.
Yeah, sorry, Chair. And again, just this is a separate agenda item, so it's just again just for that note, that conflict of interest to be noted, please.
Okay, there may well be different interests in there, and it's very hard to cover them all, but we'll do our best to do so. Okay, we'll move now to item 5 then. I'm told again, such an awful man I am, because those are decision items, to receive those, we need a proposer and seconder. Councillor Savage will do the needful in terms of proposing, and someone from my screen, Councillor Lavery, will do the seconding. Thank you. I think we're able now to go to item 5, which is the report from our Director, Sharon McNichol. Oh, Wendy is going to take the first one, first item. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. The first report I have tonight is the report we bring to members each year in relation to the date for the AGM. And members will be aware that standing orders say that the AGM must be held in June each year, with the exception of an election year. And I've just detailed there in the past, that's what we've picked the first Monday in every month in every June, with the exception of 2 election years and last year when the 1st of June fell on a Tuesday. So officers are recommending that the AGM be held on Monday, the 6th of June, 2022 as the most suitable date. Now, this will mean moving the Scheduled Planning and Regulatory Services Committee and the Governance Policy and Resources Committee. So the decision before members is that members agree to hold the AGM on Monday, the 6th of June, and move both the planning meeting and the Governance, Resources and Strategy Committee meeting.
That's our first item, and the proposal is that we have our AGM on the 6th of June. Can I have someone to propose?
Happy to propose that, Chair.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Lavery. Councillor Lavery, are you seconding? Yes? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, happy to second, Chair.
Are we all agreed? Yeah. Thank you. Are we all agreed? Thank you. 5.2 then, please.
This is in relation to a presentation request we've had from a company called Legitimate, and it's arising from the NILGA Civility and Public Life programme, which is aimed at protecting councillors against intimidation and abuse. And NILGA, as part of this programme, held a briefing for councillors on Wednesday, the 23rd of February, where Legitimate were there. They're a free publishing platform, a Northern Ireland business startup programme supported by Invest NI. The platform offers councillors a safe space to upload views, blogs, etc., with the option to turn off comments if users haven't been verified. And Legitimate are putting a request to all councils to come and present on the services that they can provide. Now I have contacted some of the other councils and we've had 6 responses, 4 of which have agreed to receive such a presentation, and 2 of whom have circulated the details of the NILGA briefing, and members themselves are joining up individually. There's no cost to council to use this service as it's grant funded by Invest NI. So the proposal before members tonight is to consider if they wish to receive such a presentation by Legitimate at the April committee meeting.
Thank you very much indeed, Wendy. And we note that this is a NILGA body, I suppose, and there's no cost to council. So are we willing to Councillor Flaherty, beg your pardon. I don't know where to look sometimes.
I'm here, Chair. Thank you very much, Chair. Excuse me. Thank you very much, Chair. And I have to say, Chair, you're doing a very good job. I don't envy you. I'm sure it's very, very taxing. I don't know if you can hear me. It sounds funny to me. Look, I suppose I have a brief comment. I actually attended that presentation through NILGA. I don't know if anyone else here did. I had a few questions about it. I suppose I did speak to Democratic Services about it. Wendy, just to confirm there, you do have the presentation available. And if so, surely my understanding of this presentation was it would be up to individuals to sign up to this service as it is. I'll keep my views on it to myself perhaps, but if anybody surely wants to see the presentation, they can ask for it. Maybe you could advise, Wendy.
Yes, thank you. And Chair, yes, we do have the presentation and all the details that were given to us by NILGA. They give us the presentation following that particular date. So happy to circulate that if that's the decision of members.
Anyone else want to make comment? I see Alderman Moutray.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm totally supportive of Councillor Flaherty, and I think this presentation should be made available to anyone who wants to see it rather than come before committee and council, because we've enough business to do here, and sometimes the presentations really aren't relevant to everyone, and it's not the best use of members' time. So if that's a proposal, I'm very happy to second it.
Thank you very much again. Proposed and seconded. Is there anyone else who wants to make comment? Are we agreed with that proposal then? I don't get any dissenters either here or out in the ether. So we'll accept that. Thank you very much indeed. And that enables us then to go on to item 6, which is the report from the Head of Community Planning, Policy and Research. And that's Elaine Gillespie to make that presentation.
Thank you, Chair, and evening members. Item 6.1 tonight is an update on our place plan process. Members will remember that Urban Scale Interventions, USI, who were the consultancy working with us on this pilot, came to committee in October and gave a full presentation on the draft plan. Public consultation is now complete on the plan and its associated impact assessments. This has resulted in only minor changes to the draft plan. This is the addition of 2 actions, one to support the digitisation of the promotion of high streets and an action to support the need for joined up connectivity for the city through a possible connectivity plan. All the other main themes and actions remain unchanged. As a pilot with community planning partners, the draft plan and the process will be considered and receive its final approvals through the Community Plan and Strategic Partnership later this month. As a pilot, officers are considering the value of the process and how we can roll it out to other places. And the University of Ulster are undertaking a post-project evaluation, and they've worked with us throughout the pilot as a critical friend. In addition, the Ministerial Advisory Group have offered a review panel to help us draw out learning. These evaluations are ongoing. However, the interim findings are positive and indicate that there's value in the process and that it should be replicated. The committee paper summarises for members the process used and how we envisage it as an ongoing monitoring and implementation. So at this stage, we are seeking members' agreement of the high-level place shaping process. Officers will then bring a further paper back to committee based on the evaluations with options and recommendations for how we could roll out place shaping, place plans for other places in our borough. So in summary, members, tonight the recommendations are to approve the Armagh place plan attached and its associated quality screening, and secondly, to agree the place shaping process for future plans. Happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Elaine. And are there questions from anyone present or out in their homes? That's all very satisfactory when there are no questions and no rebuffs or dissensions in any way, but you do want a proposer and a seconder to accept the plan. Can I have a proposer, please? Councillor Ian Wilson.
Thank you, Chair. I propose accordingly.
Thank you very much indeed. And do we have a seconder? Councillor Savage, I'm glad he's here with me in the chamber tonight. So it's proposed and seconded that we accept this plan, and in fact wish Armagh well in the development of this plan. So thank you very much indeed, Elaine, for all the hard work your team does, and it's good to be involved a little bit with it at times. Okay, thank you. We move to community planning update as an information item. And again, Elaine.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, item 6.2 is just for information members, and it's a community planning update. There's some detail there for members on the recent statement of progress, which includes some really useful stats and facts on the borough, as well as some information on the items that will be upcoming at the strategic partnership meeting later this month. Full papers for that meeting, members, will be circulated to all members of this committee in advance, and any issues can be raised through the party's nominated representatives. Thank you.
Again, are there any questions or comments? I don't see any indications, so we're all very eager to get through our business tonight. So again, thank you very much, Elaine, for that update on the community planning situation. We can move then to item 7, which is the report from the Transformation Director, the Head of Estates and Asset Management, Jonathan Hayes. And I know there are quite a number of items here, and some of them we will be passing into a different mode to receive them. But we start with Kernan Cemetery, proposed paths, and Jonathan is going to present that item.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. Members, again, the report before you tonight is an information report. Members, it's a report in relation to the update in relation to the appointment of the design team, and that the appointment of the design team will be aimed to be next week. It is proposed, members will see within the report, that a meeting is held with the DEA members in relation to an early engagement with the design team. And we're presently looking at possibly the 22nd of March for an on-site meeting. And there will be further reports come back to committee in May in relation to this matter. Thank you, Chair, and happy to take any questions.
Mutri.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Jonathan, for the report. About 10 days ago, after being contacted by a constituent, I visited Kernan Cemetery. Got to tell you, it's the first time I've ever been on it. And I walked the whole cemetery, and you know, it's a lovely cemetery and it's well maintained. But the issues that people have there with Section C really troubled me when I saw it on the day, and our workers were out doing what they could to alleviate the problem on a temporary basis. But really, could I say that, and I can understand the emotional aspect of this, because if I had someone buried in that section presently with the amounts of rainfall that there have been and continue to be this very day, I would have very great concerns. Can I just ask, when do we expect to be in a position to have this problem remedied? And I'm not even concerned about what it costs this council to get it remedied on this occasion, because it's dealing with people's very raw emotions, and we need to get a solution in there, and we need to get it very quick, and we all need from the top down to be very focused on getting that solution.
Point is well made, and it's Jonathan going to take that item.
Yep, thank you, Chair. And yes, in relation to the question that members have raised, yes, so we are planning to take a detailed report back to committee in the beginning of May in relation to options associated with the paths associated with Section C at the cemetery in relation to that matter. And then within that report, there will be a detailed programme of work in relation to actual physical works that will commence on site thereafter.
And Councillor Flaherty also wants to make a comment.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Well, I've had plenty of questions about this, but the officers involved all know. So I'm happy enough with that. I'm happy, Jen, I know it's an item for noting. I'm happy enough with that. I do agree fully with Alderman Mutry. I actually, and I hope my colleague doesn't mind me saying this, I took a number of my colleagues down lately to see Kernan, because if you're not from this area, you wouldn't maybe necessarily have had reason to visit per se, but at the same time, there are a lot of people from our borough who use the cemetery. I'm in it quite regularly. As most of you know, I'm very proud of it, actually, I have to say, and this has vexed me greatly. I'm literally doorstepped about this in the cemetery when I'm there in a personal capacity. So I want to see this remedied satisfactorily for everyone involved. And on that end, the only one comment I do want to make is that you make it clear that there's going to be a site visit. I think, Jonathan, you did say slightly later on in March. I think it's very important that I certainly want to be at that site meeting. And I'm not a Craigavon DEA member, so I think this needs to be extended out to others. I think it's important. I did ask for a show and tell type of a site visit back maybe as far as I opened that cemetery in 2019, so not long after that, and that never came to be. So I think it's important that any member that wants to see exactly what's going on here has the opportunity to do so, and meet with whoever we need to meet with. That's the one thing I would like to add just to this information item, if that's at all possible. Thank you.
Jonathan, do you wish to make further comment?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, look, I'm happy to take members' comments on board and extend that invite out to all members.
Thank you. And Sharon? Yeah, Sharon O'Gorman wants to make comment, I understand.
Thank you, Chair and members. I note the comments that have been raised, and would also add that we will monitor the situation regularly in the immediate short term and take all steps that we can through the staff within the department to address the situation and recognise the unsatisfactory nature and apologise for the distress and anxiety caused.
And the date that was proposed was the 22nd of March, and it's now going to be open to all members. Is that what you're saying? Are we all very much in agreement with that? I think I don't see any dissenting at all. Thank you. So thank you very much, Jonathan, for the work that you are doing in a very emotional area. Okay, we can now move. I think we have I think now to move into committee, and I want to read out this comment. Members and online viewers, in accordance with Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act, exempt information. We will now be moving into a confidential session of the Council. This means that we will be turning off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting is restarted. And can I ask the ICT officers to please turn off the feed and confirm with me when the confidential section of this meeting can proceed. And that'll have to come from those online. Councillor Tinsley is proposing and Councillor Lavery seconding. Okay, thank you. So so that the meeting can proceed again in open session. And I get the thumbs up for that. And I simply then, 14, have to ask, is there any other relevant business for this committee?
Point of order, Chair, from Councillor Lavery.
Okay, Councillor Lavery.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. As a point of order under Standing Order 14 in particular, it's in relation to the any other business section, which I'll just read out. Request in relation to speaking on any other relevant business should be made to Democratic Services by 12 noon on the date of the meeting. Any matter that commits the council to expenditure will not be considered under any other business. I'm just raising this issue, Mr. Vice Chair, because on Saturday I submitted an AOB request to the Chair, Councillor Tim McClelland, and CC'd in Democratic Services. The any other business was in request to council writing a letter to Belfast City Council requesting the terms of reference for its languages working group and a report to be brought back to the relevant committee when a response was received. If it's sort of familiar to you, Mr. Vice Chair, it was something we actually discussed back in June at the governance working group when we were sort of being held all on Zoom when hybrid wasn't, legislation wasn't, back in law, and then I had to raise it therefore under any other business at the full council meeting. Unfortunately, it was voted down on that occasion, and as is the process, you can't raise this an issue within 6 months after it's voted down. So this is my first occasion, or one of the first earliest occasions, to raise the issue again of a potential Irish language working group, or languages in general working group, and right to Belfast City with regards to terms and conditions or terms of reference. The reason I'm raising a point of order, Chair, or Mr. Vice Chair, is that the Chair took a very undemocratic decision not to accept my any other business request, even though it was fully compliant with the standing orders. So I'd just like to discuss that AOB request now as this procedure, given it was submitted in proper order in line with the standing orders of this committee and this council. So I'd like to do that, Chair. Thank you.
Well, I think my reaction to that would be that I'm standing in tonight in place of the Chair. And if you tell me that the Chair has made a decision, I cannot, I have not the power. It would be ultra vires to overrule that. Because it's a decision in relation to the whole business of the committee and not just the agenda for tonight, when it wasn't even mentioned on the agenda. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to permit any further discussions on this tonight. It has been a very amicable and friendly and helpful and positive meeting, and I don't want it to end on something the opposite to that. So I'm sorry, I'm not prepared to continue with that conversation. Is there any other business that anybody wants to raise? In that case, I'm going to declare the meeting as finished. Thank you very much indeed for your support and help tonight. Thank you.